Hi, my name is Anthony McNally, and I will be having the joy of hosting today's session with Mike Fantigrassi. Mike is a veteran of the fitness industry with over 20 years of experience, ranging from work as a fitness manager, personal trainer, and nutrition coach before joining NASM, which is the National Academy of Sports Medicine, in 2010. In his current role, he oversees the creation of courses and serves as a master instructor presenting at live events globally. He's also a frequent industry expert for magazines, books, and articles. And today we get to talk about how personal trainers can overcome today's challenges and level up their skills to be ready for tomorrow's opportunities. So, Mike, before we get into things, would you like to share a little bit more if I haven't covered everything? And I would also love to know what got you started in this industry in the first place.
Yeah, no, thanks for the introduction, Anthony. A little bit about myself, what got me into the industry. So I went to school at Florida State University and wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to do like pre-med and things like that, but I really wasn't interested in that as much as I was just in working out, learning about nutrition. And it really started with just personal interest. I played sports growing up, but I was very skinny. And so I always wanted to figure out, like, how do I get bigger? How do I put on muscle? And that drove a lot of my personal interest. And then, I found out once I graduated that you could actually work in this industry and make some money. So my first job out of college was working as a personal trainer. And then I mostly have stayed in the industry my entire career. And, what really drew me to personal training, still draws me to this field, is I love learning about the human body, love learning about nutrition, and really enjoy the coaching aspect of it, sharing that information with clients and even other trainers now so that they can see success, with their goals and what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I love that. I love hearing like the origin stories of what gets you in there, and I definitely can relate. Like it's like skinny dude trying to build muscle. That was kind of where I started too. So that's awesome. As we get into the kind of the first section of what we'd love to ask about today, like the health and fitness industry continues to grow every year, and it's predicted to keep growing. With that growth comes opportunity for the coaches and business owners in this industry. However, it also means that personal trainers need to keep up with more and more changes and changing client needs in order to optimize their business and success and the best service for their clients. How have you seen the fitness industry demands change in recent years, and how does that affect how the personal trainer shows up for their service?
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about when I first started and how you gained information, it was going through and taking courses, reading books. Then there was more information available on the internet, and that started to change things in the way that your clients approach you with questions. But what's really evolved in the last 5 years or so is that there's more information than ever out there, and sometimes it's good information, sometimes it's bad information. How does someone sort through all that? I think trainers struggle with that, but even more so the clients do, because it's a lot of times contradicting information. It's stuff that might apply to a certain population. So you see a lot of this halo effect where people try to follow what athletes are doing or bodybuilders are doing, and then they want to use that for themselves. And those are very special use cases, not for the general population of someone that a lot of times who a personal trainer is working with. So because of that, then you as a trainer have to stay on top of trends and information, whether you like it or not. Be involved with social media. Maybe if you don't enjoy posting, like I don't like posting on social media, but I do, even on TikTok, I'm on there trying to figure out, what are people saying, what are they doing? So that way I stay informed what's going on. And then if your client comes to you with a question, then you can answer that and understand where they're coming from, and then help guide them back in a direction where, maybe they should be or more appropriate for the goals that they have.
Yeah. And with all of that information coming at them, and there is new information, new techniques, and often contradicting, as you said, as well. Is there any recommendations you have for coaches in trying to just like navigate that, like any strategies or anything that you think a coach listening today is just getting overwhelmed? Like, how do they find out what information to take from that, and how do they kind of make sure it's relevant to them?
Yeah, great question. So I think it's one, whether you're following our information or somebody else's, try to find a company that is evidence-based. And when we talk about evidence-based, it means you're looking at the research. The research isn't always going to keep up, though, with what's happening in the real world. And so it's also real world application of what's working, and then what the client preferences are. And when you put that all together, you get an evidence-informed or evidence-based practice. And you can use that as your guidepost for how you work with your clients. To tie into that, I think it's always important to go to the highest source of information you can. And by that, I mean, a lot of people on the internet, social media, they're what I like to call information brokers. And so they're good at repackaging information, but they're generally not the source of that information. So the more you can connect with the researchers that are out there, following them and seeing what they're posting, other, very credible and trusted experts, that's a lot of times going to point you in the right direction. And also when someone's very black and white about this is bad, this is good, that's usually a sign that they may not know that topic very well, because these things tend to be multifactorial. There's a lot of reasons why things do and don't work. And sometimes the evidence can point you in the right direction, but you still don't want to follow that because it may not work from a lifestyle or habit standpoint, or may not be optimal for that client based on a lot of different factors. And that's where it comes the art of coaching, right? Because you do have to use the science, but at the end of the day, if someone's not going to follow your program, then it's not going to get them the results that they want. So you have to mesh all those things together to be a really great coach.
Yeah, I love that. Like the art of coaching. And also, as you say, like from that, I'm taking like the source is so important, of where you're kind of getting this, again, reliable sources, whether that's the key person who came up with the research in the area, or whether that's, like from a science-backed sort of organization, qualifications as well.
Yeah.
You also, like when you mentioned things like social media there, I'd also like to ask, because I know a lot of coaches have this question, there's a lot of big digital fitness influencers and there's a lot of noise out there, and that can be intimidating too. And also kind of like there's many coaches almost feel like they're a small fish in a very big ocean when it comes to like that realm. Is there anything you recommend those coaches, like how do they overcome looking at those big fitness influencers or big sort of social media businesses and influencers? How do they navigate competing with them?
Yeah. Well, I think at the end of the day, some of it's perspective, right? And so just understanding what's your unique value that you bring to your clients. Mm-hmm. And if you can focus on what you do that's unique, then it doesn't matter what all the other competitors are doing and the different people that are out there. At the end of the day, we all have, pretty much the same access to the information. And so when you see these people out here posting and sharing information, sometimes they're staying in their lane. A lot of times they're jumping outside their lane. So they might be, for example, a physical therapist, but now if they're starting to talk a lot about nutrition or even like performance training tips, that may not be really their wheelhouse. And so that's what you have to understand, is sometimes these experts are, pseudo experts, I guess you could say. You can only be really great at a few things, and then the rest of it, you're just kind of learning about those. And so it is good as a trainer to be very diverse and bring all this stuff in together. But I think it's just, again, keeping that perspective that no one has it all figured out and knows all this stuff. It's one of the reasons at NASM why we work with so many different subject matter experts when we build our programs and courses, because we realize it takes a lot of different great minds to come together and build something comprehensive that teaches you all these different components that goes into coaching or training or nutrition or anything else. I think aside from that, it is personal training, and it's about relationships. And that's a great thing with technology and all the changes and stuff that's happening in on-demand workouts. Is programs have been around for a long time. I mean, you could buy a program in the back of a magazine forever. The hard part's actually following the program and sticking with the workout. And that's the thing about a personal trainer that's so valuable, is the accountability, the relationship, the coaching, the mentorship. It's all those things that get someone to want to come to the gym, want to come to the boutique location, and keep working out, keep working towards those goals. And if you remember that, how valuable you are to someone, I think that can also help with that perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Being unique and building those personal relationships is so important. With all of that in mind, I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into current opportunities that personal trainers and fitness businesses listening today have in terms of like the education component. Like you have so much experience with what you do at the National Academy of Sports Medicine. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you for more insights into like what qualifications or specializations are currently top of the list to enable a coach to stay ahead of the game today and also just set themselves up for the future. What are people learning now? What's going on?
Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff. I mean, once you become a personal trainer, then I think from there, you really have to find other stuff that interests you. I do think a lot of the journey is stuff that you want to learn, things that help benefit yourself so you gain firsthand knowledge, and then you can start applying that to your clients. There's cases where it's not always going to happen, but I think the more that you can align it to personal interest, it really helps. The ones that, for me, the biggest game changer when I was a trainer was the second specialization I got through NASM was corrective exercise specialist. And so with this one, it really gave me a better understanding of how the body moves, what good movement looks like versus maybe movement that, is suboptimal from the standpoint of can reduce pain long-term. I was having a lot of pain in my late 20s. And it really helped me kind of clean up some stuff and just move better. And from there, I'm 50 now, and I feel like I move better at 50 than I did when I was like 26, 27, because I was so focused on just getting bigger and stronger and not really focused on that. Outside of corrective exercise, some of this is also around like times of years, so for instance, beginning of the year, so weight loss specialist, clients come in, generally it's for some type of like fat loss, weight loss goal, physique transformation goal. And so we have two courses that really dive deep and serve different populations, right? So weight loss specialist is for someone maybe working with an individual that has like 50 or more pounds to lose. And then we have another one, physique and bodybuilding coach, and that's focused on, I want to make a really great physical transformation. And so it includes nutrition coaching principles and exercise programming and even the motivational interviewing and other techniques that I'll go into, how to take someone and get them into the best shape of their life. And then probably the biggest trend that we've seen is just coming out of the pandemic, overall, people just want to have better wellness. And that definition is different for everybody, but it's really what is their personal journey of like, what they want to be. And it includes like mental well-being and how you recover, which includes sleep and everything else. Nutrition habits, so more the routines you do with your nutrition versus following specific diets. And then movement, that's really key. And one of the things we found as like foundational, even before nutrition habits, was movement habits, because it has so much effect on the body, how you feel, how it influences hormones and neurotransmitters and everything else. So if you can just start moving, that's really the catalyst for all these other positive changes taking place. Yeah,
I love that insight and knowing, what people are learning right now. And as you say, like still make it personal, but, coming towards a new year, and like, people might think about certain courses that are more valuable at certain times of year, as you said, and also what they're passionate about. So really, that's awesome. And knowing, I know you mentioned kind of there, like also, I love that it goes a layer deeper as not just like the how to maybe, achieve this in the gym, but also like the behaviors that come behind that. Mm-hmm. Beyond that aspect of actually getting a client from, here to the result, how important is it, do you think, that personal trainers also learn and build their skills as an entrepreneur, or enhance their sales skills or their ability to market their services, like the business component? How important do you think it is for them to also learn that?
Yeah, it's huge. It's probably the most overlooked part of becoming a personal trainer, because when someone's first starting out, I don't think they think about that part and what it means to being successful long-term from a career standpoint. One of the things that I love about personal training is that you do kind of run your own business, regardless if you own, a personal training studio, you work at a boutique, or you work in a big box gym. Generally, you still have to be the person responsible for helping generate the sales and the marketing and building your brand within that space. And these are skill sets that are super valuable. I think they're very transferable, even if you leave personal training. A lot of people on my team are former personal trainers that now work as product managers and content developers and content development managers. And the work ethic and the skills that you develop being a personal trainer, I think, are just amazing, because you have to do all these different things well and learn how to, like you mentioned, you have to learn how to sell and market yourself and understand business. Time management is huge as a personal trainer, and relationship building too, which is really critical as well. And so I do think once you complete your certification, then a big focus should be on upskilling your business, marketing, wherever you feel you're deficient at, because that's going to be a big predictor of your future success as a personal trainer if you have those different skill sets.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, it's, I always think, it's good to know how to help the person, but if you can't get that person in front of you and have that relationship building skill, then it becomes a lot harder. So, that's awesome. We're coming into we're in a part of the industry where, as I mentioned, it's always growing and it's predicted to keep growing in so many different ways. Are there any other notable trends or shifts that you've observed? I know you've mentioned some of those popular courses like wellness and habits and all beyond that, but is there any other trends or shifts that you've noticed that are, going to be a big thing in the next year, 2 or 3?
Yeah, I think, we're seeing it now already with the GLP-1 agonists. So, the Ozempic, Mounjaro, the different medications that basically do a great job from an appetite control standpoint. And a lot of people are taking them, whether they're prescribed or sometimes even taking them through research peptides and stuff like that, which do not recommend, but you do see that happening out there. And I think as a fitness professional, you really need to understand the basics of how those medications work, and then how you can modify programming for clients and even nutrition recommendations when they are on those medications. We actually just completed 2 papers on this, which are position stand / evidence-based reviews that really talk about a lot of different strategies you can use to help if someone is on these types of medications, right? Because some of the side effects will be, I mentioned the reduced appetite, but also slows down gastric emptying. And so if someone's not eating the right things before their workouts, they make them feel full, they might have indigestion. Other factors are they may be taking their calories too low. So it's really easy to do when you're not hungry, not to eat enough. And then they're trying to exercise at a level that's not appropriate. So for example, if you're trying to combine high intensity interval training with a very low calorie diet, that's a recipe for either getting hurt, burnout, just a lot of things that you don't want to do with that. The other piece I would say is just, there's a lot of different names for it, but essentially like active aging, functional aging, that type of stuff. But basically, how do you live longer and better? And so, the concept I think is as I age, or your clients age, I'm going to use myself because this is something I'm personally interested in, but how do you keep doing the things you love for as long as possible, at a level also that you're happy with, and not do things that are going to impact your health negatively, so it's that balance between all these different things. And as an example, I still practice jujitsu, so I do about 3 to 4 times per week, and I mountain bike, and I like to be able to do those things for another 20 to 30 years. And, I don't want to be the old guy out there who everyone's just like patting on the back, being like, oh, so great that you're here. You want to be doing it at a level where you can still compete with the younger guys. So those are 2, big ones, I think, that we're going to see continue to grow.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you gotta stay in the game, as you say. And that's cool. You're like jiu-jitsu and mountain biking, pretty epic sports to be doing. So that's cool. with that, like, so you're mentioning, like, knowing what even medications our clients might be taking, understanding how to adapt to that wellness and longevity aspect. Beyond that, one thing we haven't mentioned yet is kind of like technologies. Do you see like any enhancements in tech, whether that's smart devices or, other ways in which people are, using technology to access their coaching or their services?
Yeah, great question. So there's going to be more, different tracking devices and technology. I think what we'll see is maybe the better integration of the data to where it's pulled in and you have more of a dashboard, because right now there's just so many sources of the data and sometimes it's hard to wrap your head around like what all these different metrics means for that. Obviously, AI has exploded with Chat GPT, and that I think is going to continue to grow. And I think trainers have to view that as a tool and not something that's going to replace them. Because again, you can't replace the live component. That's one thing that AI is not going to be able to do. And at the same time, yes, AI can create programs and do stuff, but at the end of the day, there's a saying like in programming, garbage in, garbage out, right? So if the inputs aren't good, then the programming's still not going to be good that's coming out of it. And that's where you as a trainer can still shine. So you will have the ability to create private instances of chatbots where you can put in your programming methodologies right into there and start to have it then help you create the type of programming that you want. And that allows you again to differentiate, be different than everybody else, because they're not going to be able to copy how you think and what you're doing. And that's where I think AI can really help on that front with it. And then, other stuff like what you guys are doing at Trainerize, I think is huge, just allowing trainers to have the ability to work, with clients anywhere, which is great. Live is still ideal, but also the hybrid model where if someone's traveling and having that ability to stay connected and still making money, I think is huge. So I think technology is here to stay. And as a trainer, you can't be afraid of it yet. You have to embrace it and continue to learn.
Yeah, embracing it is definitely hard for at the start. I know from my own experience, getting online from in person was like a real shift, and but that's cool. And as you mentioned, I love that aspect of AI being, a tool. It's not going to replace human interaction. I think our clients always crave that and love that, but it might be able to, assist in some aspects of that interaction too. So. We're coming in towards the end of today's session. What I kind of want to do is just a few bonus quick fire questions here. So just a few questions I like to ask you personally, and you can just give me your insight from your words of wisdom today. So first one is, what's an underrated exercise that you love and why?
Yeah, so I would say I don't know if it's that underrated, but like push-ups, I don't think they get the credit versus like bench press and other things, just because, the way we think about it in ESM, it's a moving plank. So you're getting great core stabilization. Plus you're working a lot of the stabilizing muscles of the shoulder and you're getting your scapula to move as well. So you can do them anywhere. Great exercise.
Yeah. Love it. The moving plank. Love it. On the opposite side of that, what do you think is an overrated exercise that you think most people could probably avoid, and why?
Yeah, this is a tougher one, but I think running, especially running at like a high tempo for a lot of people is just not a great idea. So if you have the biomechanics for it and you work your way up to it, I think it's great. But I think there's a lot of other modes of exercise that are a little bit less stressful to the body versus running.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can understand that. And a lot of clients think automatically that's what they should start with. So I love that you're mentioning that. Your favorite book that you've read recently, or maybe something you're reading right now?
Yeah, so the one I'm reading right now, it's 10x is easier than 2x. And I think it's great for personal trainers and entrepreneurs because it's basically just a mindset shift where it's thinking really big, eliminating all the noise and focusing on what you do best. And I think it could help out a lot of trainers to do that.
Yeah, love that. I'll be checking it out. I've got two more questions. One is what is the worst business advice or coaching advice that you've ever been given or heard?
Yeah, I think it's more, a concept when it comes to coaching, which is that one size fits all approach, or it worked for me. When someone gave you advice, like I did this, right? And whether it's a nutrition or even like what worked for them business wise, because everyone's so individual. And just because something works for someone doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So I think that's where you have to learn what fits you individually and then, learn about that and get better at it.
Yeah, I love that. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking as well the courses you mentioned and actually getting the qualifications to work with different audiences that aren't yourself, like that just, I don't know, that's something I can relate with is huge when you actually learn skills that aren't just what I've done
Yeah.
before. And on the other side of that, to finish on a positive note on these questions, what's the best business advice or coaching advice that you've heard or been given and that you could share today?
Yeah, I had a lot of great ones, but the one that kind of stuck with me, which was something our former president, Lori McCartney, used to say all the time, which is simplify, focus, align, and win. And it really ties into that 10X I was just talking about. It's very hard to do, but if you can figure out what you do best and then really focus on that and align all your energy to it, you're going to have the success that you want.
I love that. That's powerful. Excellent. Well, that's kind of rounding up today's session. And, we have the partnership with NASM as well. But if there is a coach listening today and they're ready to commit to themselves, to leveling up their education, learning new skills, where could they go or where should they go to learn more about what NASM has to offer?
Yeah, so the best place is just going to be nasm.org. So our website, we just finished a redesign, so much easier to navigate and has a lot of different information about all our different programs that we offer. And even things like a membership that we have too, which is where someone, once they're certified, they can join NASM 1 and then have access to over 300 courses on a variety of topics to continue to stay, on the top of their game. We also have an Instagram channel, NASM_fitness, and then another one, NASM Performance. And NASM Performance in particular, that's where we just post a lot of educational content, short form video, and we do even things like Beyond the Abstract, where we break down research studies. So it's really a great channel for people to follow for learning.
Absolutely. That's cool. That's cool that you offer that to the social media channel too. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing all of that with us. And hopefully the coaches out there, you know where to go to level up and get some more skills through NASM as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me.